right, welcome race fans. It's time for another hour of the fastest show on the internet. If it has a motor and goes fast, you know we're going to talk about it. The busiest raced weekend of the year. So let's get right to it. It's Kaotic Motorsports presented by Burris Racing, only on KaoticRadio.com. 909-360-8330. That's 909-360-8330. The number to call, the only number you need to know for the next hour. J.R. Ibarra, Kart Racer TV fame. And yours truly, Chappie, in the house. We'll get right to it. It's a busy weekend. JR, how are you?
Good deal, man. As you said, quite a weekend of racing. I was stuck in front of the TV, actually, thanks to the DVR. Thank God for DVRs, because I was out tooling around San Diego through part of the weekend here. Watched a little bit of racing down in San Diego, and I'll tell you a little bit about that down the road here. But, man, just seeing the Indy 500, the Coke 600, also Formula One. A lot of great stuff out there to talk about tonight.
As a fan of motorsports, I think pretty much your whole adult life and probably your childhood life as well, like myself, that's why we have you on the show. We only get the best. Do you get excited for a day like that? I mean, Memorial Day was always fun. I remember growing up, we'd be at the river, and we'd actually come off the river and walk in, and I remember my dad saying, "You guys crazy? You got some good skiing water out there." But Dad, it's Indy 500.
Right,
right. It's just tradition.
The tradition is just something, like I mentioned last week's show, man, I've been watching the Indy 500 since the 60s, man.
Yeah.
And it's just, golly, you just can't do anything else on Memorial Day weekend, you know?
Does any one stick out, like maybe a crash or a certain win or a certain moment?
Boy, that's a great question, because I've watched so many over the past literally decades that, AJ Foyt has always been a hero of mine.
Big for me,
so seeing any one of his wins from back in the day was always an exciting thing to see.
Of course, one of the four-time winners
Exactly.
with Al Unser and
Right.
Rick Mears. And mine is Rick Mears, I believe, that did the was it Rick Mears or Danny Sullivan, the 360, and then
that was Sullivan.
It was Sullivan.
It was
okay,
a spin and win. Spin and win by Danny
There's
Sullivan.
I get them mixed up all the time, but Mears another four-timer. So pretty cool. I believe Zig's in the house, man. He might want to come in here and talk some motorsports, but keep the snakes out in the lobby. He's the guy that had the bucket of snakes.
Oh, good. We'll keep them out there.
Those are in
just for the
previous
moment,
shows.
we'll keep them out there.
JR never knows what's going to happen here at Chaotic Motorsports.
That's quite all right.
We're just getting started. Obviously, we're going to talk some Indy 500. Before we get to Indy, real quick, Glen Helen, right up the road, 450 Outdoor, and Marvin Muscane, who obviously the French rider on the KTM, got a first and a third. We want to keep our two-wheel fans happy as well. Jason Anderson grabbing second on the Husky, and Blake Baggett from right here in Grand Terrace grabbing third. For all those that wanted to know, Eli Tomac finished second and a 19th in that dual format. And I'm sure Musgrave is pretty pumped up on that. So we had to cover some Glen Helen 450 Outdoor.
Got a phone call.
I believe we have a phone call. Let's go right.
That's pretty good.
Let's go right to it. Who do we got? Welcome to Kaotic Motorsports on KaoticRadio.com.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, Chappie.
Hey, how we doing?
Hey, pretty good. This is John. Crystal told me to call you.
Oh, great. How you doing, John?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Could this be one of my bosses, John Aiden from Wheel to Wheel Raceway?
I don't know about boss. You're the boss.
Well, Aiden, you're the boss.
Hey, I got J.R. Ibarra in here. He's another fan of you guys. Hey, man, we had a blast watching you, and how excited are you on your performance on Saturday night, the senior sprint class, and you ended up second in the heat race in the main?
It was all right. I was a little rusty, 5 years out of the car, but I didn't make no crash mistakes, so I guess that was a good thing.
John, I didn't think you were old enough to be in the seniors division. How did that happen?
44. I'm almost going to be 45. A lot of people asked me that night. Somebody asked me that, and I'm like, I told them I was 44, almost 45, and the lady looked at me and said, "You don't even look over 30."
Yeah, I was going to say 29.
Yeah, I was going to say you got that baby face,
Yeah.
so you could have hanged out with the juniors that night as well.
Yeah.
Hey, well, great job, and we had a blast watching you. Tell us a little bit about Wheel to Wheel Raceway and what you guys do up there. I'm stoked to be on the mic up there calling the action for year number 2 now. Kind of got the gig through knowing you guys through Mike Nye and the SoCal Oval Dirt Carters. And tell us what you got going up there at Wheel to Wheel Raceway. A full schedule all season long. It's awesome.
Yeah, we go from March to November every year. We go about 15 to 20 races. Basically, I call it the garden for kids, growing racers. That's what I'm trying to do, help the sport of racing out, pretty much.
No, that's such a great track, John. Obviously, I've had a chance to race at your facility, and I love the way you've brought that facility along. I don't get a chance to race too often because I have such a crazy schedule. But, describe what the track is, what it's all about, and what a fan can enjoy on a Saturday night at your facility.
You can enjoy beer, food, and cheap entry tickets to watch some crazy miniature sprint cars. Every once in a while, we run speedway bikes and we run dirt carts. It's we call it the fastest 8-mile dirt oval around. It's a high banked, clay-based dirt track up here in Victorville at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, and the banking is pretty significant. I mean, I've been on the track, obviously, for a few laps, and man, you can definitely carry some speed at that racetrack in comparison to other type of dirt tracks around Southern California that are made for that type of smaller vehicle.
Yeah, I originally raced speedway bikes back in the day, and kind of got out of speedway motorcycles. Everybody calls it a real job, but it's everything I do is a job. They just don't know. But I got in the union for a few years and decided I didn't want to work on heavy equipment. I really liked working on race car stuff. So I came up with a design. Basically, I took a speedway bike motor, 500cc, and bolted it on the side of a little cage cart I designed. And 200 cars plus later, and about 50 to 75 cars on a Saturday night. That's where we're at, 18 years.
And I tell you, because I have one of your cars, they are very well made. Believe it or not, somebody myself who's 6'2", about 230 pounds, actually fits in one of those things. So what's nice is that they can be fully fit for somebody who's kind of big like myself. I know you're kind of tall yourself, John, but as well as you can accommodate those for the kids as well to get into the junior ranks.
Yeah, we have just basically the different seat, different motor, and a floor pan for the kids. We have kids all the way as young as 5 years old, and they look like they're in a full-size sprint car. Their feet they sit school seat style and everything, just like an adult would in a real full-size sprint car.
Yeah, and I tell you, definitely for the locals, and I think the fans that come from farther away, easy to get to right off the 15, like you said, Victorville Fairgrounds right there. And you guys will be out there this Saturday night. You can check out the website for the full schedule. I'm on the mic. Your wife, Crystal, puts on a great show. Family event. We do a great time. There's raffles. There's giveaways. There's theme nights. We just did the military appreciation night at our last race.
Yeah.
And you guys just do a great job, and it's a great track. So whether you want to get involved with racing or you want to go watch some good racing on a Saturday night, make sure you guys check out Wheel to Wheel Raceway. Make sure you check them out. Thanks, John. And we're going to see you at Paris the rest of the year or what?
Oh, yeah, we're going to do that. Ed Schwartz, he's giving me his old used tires and some fuel. I'm going to go burn them up.
That was awesome. Ed finished third behind Richard, and John finished in second in that senior sprint main. Some great racing out there on Saturday night. Thanks for calling in, buddy, and thank you to Crystal. And tell your family I said hi, and we'll see you out there soon.
I will, thank you, and tell everybody this Saturday night, June 3rd, summer kickoff for racing at Wheel to Wheel.
That's right. I'm going to be doing the monster trucks, but Crystal was nice enough to not give me too much of a tongue lashing and did not terminate me yet. And we got you the NJBA, National Jet Boat Association voice, Jeff Fry, from who resides in Rancho Cucamonga right here, the home of Kaotic Motorsports. So Jeff is really excited to call your race Saturday night.
Perfect. You do an awesome job, and I'm sure if he's involved with you, he'll do a good job also.
Thanks a lot, John, and thanks for calling in.
All righty, thank you. You guys have a good one.
All right, see you soon, John.
Right.
Awesome. John Aiden, boy, what a good night. I didn't get with you yet on that. Were you at the races down on the infield on Saturday?
No, I was not.
Okay,
I
I
actually
thought you might be there.
No. I actually was down in San Diego.
Like you said. Okay,
I was
I didn't know if you made it
I was
back.
down at Verona catching their what they call Battle at Verona this past weekend, which is
So you brought the Nitro funny
The
car report?
nitro stuff.
Wow, I didn't think we were going to get a report on that. We need to communicate better. I thought we were both in the same location.
No.
And I'm like, one of us should have represented Kaotic and gone down and got some Nitro, and that was you.
I saw some of the results of Saturday night at Paris, and I thought it was great to see John up in the podium there.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, if we don't have to go to commercials, we can just go right through since we started late. But if you have to pay the bills and go to commercials, we can do that coming up at 6:30.
You want to do 6:30? That's fine. No problems.
Hey, we're busy and we started late and we got a lot to talk about. If you want to roll right through it, we can.
Whatever you like to do, sir.
Let's roll right through it.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
No commercials. So
commercial radio.
So I want the Nitro report from you. What do you want to do? That real quick, and then we'll get into Indy?
Yeah,
Tell me about Verona. I used to go there for the sand drags.
This is the second year that they've done what's called the
Del
Battle at
Worsham.
Verona. Del Worsham created this out of a whim because his young teenage daughters are now doing junior dragsters.
Sure.
So there was an off weekend last May that he approached the track management and said, "Hey, well, can I bring my funny car along?" And they said, "Sure." And then he said, "Well, can I bring my friends with their funny cars along?" And they said, "Sure." So same as last year, it was Dell and it was Gary Densham to bring out their mellow yellow cars. And then there was a mixture of a couple of nostalgia funny cars out there, as well as and some fuel alters that were part of the mix.
Couple of alcohol funny cars, maybe too.
There was no alcohol cars this year as far as funny cars. There was one other mellow yellow car there.
Okay.
John Hale was driving that particular
another
car.
local SoCal guy. Great guy. We're trying to get John on the show.
And then what was kind of cool was seeing a nice mix of fuel alters. One dragster, one top fuel dragster powered from Rick White, the Neil and White top fuel car.
Yeah.
They're down from the San Diego, so that was obviously a short trip for them. What's kind of cool about Verona, it's what I call the Thunder Valley of the West. If you go to the top end, you can hear all the engines echo off the valley, the hills right there, and it's really cool. Right. I love it, man.
Right. If you've never been to Verona, you have to check it out.
It is.
Of course, they've run all sorts of racing there over the years. I used to go there and watch Uncle Brian Chapman, Short Fuse, run the sand dragster.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's only an eighth of a mile, and, the fuel cars that run there, they really don't even run the full eighth because
it's a short.
The shutdown area is not very long.
Right.
So if any of these guys got into trouble with a stuck throttle, it'd be kind of ugly. So they only ran to the 330 mark and shut it down, whereas some of the other supported races did go the full eighth mile.
So like a Chicago style, you got to see everybody twice, and then everybody ran a main event.
Everybody ran, which is kind of cool. So for the fans, which again was probably a near sellout crowd as it was last year.
It did last year. You had to get there early.
You have to. Although I wound up being there kind of late myself. I didn't get there till almost 30, 40 minutes before start time.
And it's a nighttime show.
It's a nighttime.
Maybe like 4 to 10.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I highly recommend. I would imagine they're going to keep doing this. From what I understand, there is another Nitro program coming up in September. They didn't get too specific, but apparently it will be a lot of nostalgia type cars in September. September the 30th, I believe, is the date for that specific race coming up at Verona.
All right. Well, we'll look into that. We're going to skip the break. We just got too much to talk about, and we're on a roll. We're on a roll right here. Call us butter. We're on a roll. It's Kaotic Radio. KaoticMotorsports.com, 909-360-8330. If you want to sneak a phone call in on the Motorsports Weekend, maybe you're at one of the events. Before we get into Indy, real quick, how about a little F1? We got it started with Monaco.
Yeah,
Well, you called it with Vettel. Out of all of our picks, you got it right with Vettel.
I at least
but the
got
rest of our
one
picks,
out of three. I got one out of three. But
you got the bragging right, sir.
But what I'm reading here's an interesting stuff of what's happening. Apparently, there's a little bit of bad blood brewing between Vettel and Raikkonen because Kimi qualified on pole. At a certain point of the race, he was called into the pits for his obviously mandatory pit stop. They let Vettel out there to run in clean air and really kind of gain, if you will, on his teammate. They finally brought him for his pit stop, and then when he was released, he was ahead of Raikkonen, and apparently that did not sit very well with Raikkonen, from what I understand.
No, the greatest two interviews of the weekend were by second-place drivers. Yeah. Raikkonen, number one, as always. Unless he wins, he's the greatest interview ever.
Absolutely.
And then Kyle Busch coming in as a close second. And Kyle Busch has been watching some rap videos because he dropped the mic, not one, not two, but maybe I think every time he got asked a question
Yeah.
and with the same answer. So
He's not happy
he
with
kind of
second
did that
place.
Marshawn Lynch thing that he did when he was on Seattle Seahawks. So the second place interviews are great. So,
No, but
Monaco, it's just so fun to watch. What a great way to get the weekend started.
well, what's really interesting now with the cars having much wider track and wider tires, it makes that track even more narrow than it is. It's like racing down an alley in downtown Los Angeles because it's just such a little tunnel you have to race through.
They do such a great job on the broadcast, NBC Sports, and they show you that little, if anything, has changed on that track since
Yeah.
the 1930s.
Yeah, can you believe
It's
that?
incredible. It's incredible. But the
configuration
cars
is-
have.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
So yeah, not much passing, if any at all, on the actual grid on the course. But you have to get it done in the pits. But then again, you have that whole team thing.
Right.
Raikkonen, number 2 driver.
Right.
It everything spelled Raikkonen should have won it. But
Absolutely, but it
Go
makes
figure.
it makes it look now that Ferrari is definitely favoring Sebastian Vettel, and they're
Sure.
considering him the number 1 racer in the team. Which you kind of figure here's a guy who's a multi-time world champion compared to Kimi, who has 1 championship.
right.
Why not make Sebastian the number 1 driver? But I don't think Kimi's really all too happy about that.
Right. Haas, the USA team, both cars getting points for the first time.
Yeah, it's great to see that team kind of rebounding.
cool.
They've had some struggles a little bit early on in the season, but now they're beginning to rebound a bit. I find it interesting, though, to see what's happening with Mercedes. Here they are behind in manufacturers' points. Lewis Hamilton is down by 25 points in the driver's standings, so he's got some work cut out for him if he wants to try to win another championship here.
Yeah, that was a really surprising finish position. Well, really pretty much the whole weekend. And,
Well, mainly because he qualified so bad, unfortunately. And here's the thing, because of Monaco, again, the track.
and he owns that track. So you figure, the defending champ.
Yeah, he got held up in qualifying. Unfortunately, didn't even get out of Q2 for the Saturday qualifying.
So he was up against it right from
Yeah,
the get-go.
but you got to give him some credit. I mean, he started, I believe it was 14th. He wound up within a top 10,
Right.
still grabbing some points. I believe it was 7th overall for the afternoon, and nonetheless, he's still trying to scrap. But 25 points behind in the driver's standing.
Long season, but Vettel's starting to look like he's dominating.
Exactly.
Next up, they go to Canada. That's this weekend, so they're already on. I believe it's
Actually,
this
it'll be a
weekend.
week from this. It'll be
weeks.
2 weeks down up in Canada.
Okay, and that was Ferrari ending a 16-year Monaco drought. It was Schumacher.
I can't
2001.
believe it's been that
couldn't
long.
believe that
Can you
stat
believe
either.
that? It's just amazing that it took that long for Ferrari to wind up on the podium, top of the podium.
Yeah. Did you have any other F1 for us?
Well, in relation and now transitioning into Indy cars here, it's great to see the F1 drivers and former F1 drivers having a really good weekend at Indy. Fernando Alonso had a tremendous race at the Indy 500, and I don't think he missed at all being at Monaco, in spite of the fact that he blew an engine, in the final few laps over at Indianapolis. But nonetheless, he had a much greater competitive time racing IndyCars than he would have at Monaco, probably finishing in a 13, 14 spot in his F1 car.
Yeah, I mean, even the announcers were talking about it on, once again, what I thought was an awesome broadcast. But he's semi-competitive would be a compliment to say in F1 right now. So why not chase the dream?
Absolutely.
And it would have been incredible. And I know he had a lot of fans on that bandwagon wanting him to do well in our Southern California and beyond karting community and our racing community.
I would say a lot of they probably had a lot more eyeballs watching this race because of Fernando Alonso, and they had more ticket sales because of Fernando Alonso being in this race.
Yeah, one of the big stories would obviously be Alonso. And then another one, getting to that, though, he did end up with that Rookie of the Year that they always do every year, of course. He did have the better package, obviously the bigger team with Andretti and the Honda Andretti Motorsports. But really, you couldn't give that rookie to Ed Jones, finishing third?
That seems like almost a participation trophy type thing, which I'm not crazy about. It's
I
like
just
Ed
thought
Jones. Man, did he put up a
I
fight.
thought he deserved it, and I know Coyne was quite vocal about it. So, I'm
And
like,
he
wow,
has
that's
a
good
right.
point.
He has a right to be, because Jones.
tough one.
I was very impressed by Jones and his final few laps.
That's my vote. I mean,
Yeah.
I know the Alonso
Yeah.
got the sentimental, and if he goes a little farther, he perhaps even wins that thing. I think it was
Right.
he was the third Honda motor to blow, and there was only 21 laps to go after Hunter Ray went on lap 137, and Kimball went on 167. So the Hondas are starting to blow up. It was just which ones were going to
Yeah,
hang around for the win. Nobody knew it was going to be Sato.
That would have had to have made Sato kind of nervous, and I'm glad for Sato winning that race. It's great to see a former F1 guy, especially he's a little bit older now. He's 40 years old, one of the older Indy winners.
Only his second win.
Yeah.
I was at Long Beach when he drove for Foyt and won Long Beach Grand Prix, I believe, in 2013.
That's correct.
I'll say.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. And then I played back the, I don't know if we're going to play it for you tonight, maybe if we have time towards the end of the show, but the Japanese broadcasters announcing the victory. It was awesome. It was better than the soccer goal.
Better than the Brazilian soccer
just,
announcers.
Yeah, it was great. I was loving it. So, so as an announcer, I'm sure you appreciate it.
And that's, I think it's great just to have an international winner as well.
I was okay with it. I thought it was a great race.
Yeah.
Dixon scared the you-know-what out of me.
Oh,
I
my
thought we
gosh.
lost another great racer there, and we were so close to, but
Yeah.
it really shows you the safety cell, those barriers. I'm sure he could have landed wrong, but
Right.
shoulda, coulda, woulda, but thank God he got up and walked out of there because, wow.
And that was an amazing part, that he pretty much was able to walk away from that without a major scratch at all. And as you said, I think the angle, unfortunately or fortunately, was not as cockpit down on top of that guardrail, because that could have been disastrous.
Yeah, it was scary. Obviously came up on the slower. It was Jay Howard that had the mechanical, and it's just at those speeds, it's just nothing you can do. And
Not
it was
at all.
unfortunate because he was just wrong place, wrong time. Like,
Absolutely.
another driver capable, number one qualifier, quick the whole month, and capable winning the race. So unbelievably, what a classy interview too he gave afterwards.
Yeah.
He was unshaken, classy. I think he ended it with, "I can't wait to be back next year."
And that's what's amazing. I know some of the commentators were bringing that to the forefront, is that look at how cool and calm he is after going through that disastrous accident that literally could have killed him.
I was more fired up on the couch. I was like, geez, the guy's cooler than me. I'm all flustered.
Yeah.
But the 101st Indy 500 is what we're talking about. 15 leaders. That's a new record. Only 35 lead changes, though. I believe there was 54 last year before
Last year
Rossi won it.
was the all-time, yeah.
Rossi, I was thinking for a while, was going to maybe pull a double.
I tell you what, he really showed himself to be a lot more confident, a lot more strong this year compared to last year, where it was kind of he slipped in as a result of fuel mileage and strategy. But this year he was at the front of the pack, and he looked very capable of winning that race.
Yeah, it was cool. And going back to Andretti, Marco just looked so surprised. Like, I just can't believe what happened. And it just looked so passionate and real. It was great. And, they threw up some great stats that I was taking some notes on. The Andretti's over the years of that world-famous race and that world-famous last name, 71 starts, and Marco's 1969 win is all they had to show as far as a win.
Yeah.
Mario's, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the pace car. You still got to see him. He was
Right,
up front with
right.
some lucky winner that got to sit
Exactly.
shotgunner behind. I guess he called it rear shotgun then. But 71 starts, one win. It was Mario 1969. And just Dixon, what a week. Held up at gunpoint.
Yeah, really. What more excitement did he need for the week?
Yeah, don't make a late night. Hey, Mike, have you ever been to the Taco Bell at midnight in Indianapolis, Indiana?
Not in Indiana, but I've done it here in California.
Probably not
Yeah,
the
but
thing
he's
to
a
do.
big guy, though. He's a big guy. He probably can get away with
Mikey
it.
can handle himself.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The racers
Michael
are
can
little,
handle
and
himself.
they probably had the bling shining.
Yeah, right,
Can
right.
you imagine if Hamilton would have been there? They really would have gotten. Wow, they would have gotten
That would have
rolled.
taken a few pieces of jewelry there.
Those jackers would have got a lot more money if Hamilton, if the F1 guys were there. Alonso's like, I'm not going to the Taco Bell. You go. Here's my money.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but yeah, the surrounding neighborhood isn't all the greatest.
Right. I was supposed to take the tour when I went. We talked about it on the show. I was in Fort Wayne, 2-hour drive. Snowed that morning. Roads were iced off. No tour for me.
It is a great place. I've never been during the 500, but I've been to the racetrack, and it is a magical place to be. You really do feel the aura when you walk into that facility. It's neat. It's a place to go to if you're a race fan.
Yeah, they have the museum.
Museum's great.
The museum, you can do the tour. So, I think it was the way I was being told was, no, you're not supposed to come here for just the tour. I need to go to the 102nd Indy 500 and then do the whole package. I think so. Maybe
like
we'll shoot for that for next year,
Something like that.
if that's in the budget for Chaotic Motorsports here. So this is Chaotic Motorsports, chaoticradio.com. We're just breezing right through the commercials. We'll pay our own bills. We don't need advertisers. All we need is Burris Racing.
Who
Burris
needs
Racing on board.
advertisers? But our thanks to Burris for the support.
Yeah, they really help out, and our guest should be calling in here in the next few minutes, and that's he's sponsored by Burris, and it's a great Brody Roa, so that's cool. He'll be calling in. Monaco, we talked Monaco, Indy 500. Did you know the another thing I wanted to hit on was the drinking the milk tradition? Do you know how that started?
My understanding, this came back from, I don't know the year, but it was back, from the 40s era or so?
I did a little research, and in 33, the winner Lewis Meyer requested buttermilk after he won, which seems like just an odd request after you drive that far and do anything that long. Milk, really?
His mom, champagne was not part of the deal back then.
Yeah, his mom told him to drink it when he was thirsty. So you're going to listen to mom. She knows best.
Yeah.
A dairy executive, of course, for the Milk Foundation, realized the marketing potential, and voila. And other than a few years, including the great Emerson Fittipaldi.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
He declined in 93 because he had an orange juice farm in Brazil.
That was kind of embarrassing.
I'm drinking OJ.
That was kind of embarrassing. He took a swig of the OJ. I mean, he broke with tradition, and a lot of people were really upset.
Yeah, and that was his second win. So interesting research on the whole milk thing and the kissing the bricks and Indy 500.
But it's such a great Americana tradition, just the whole event. I know I heard Kevin Harvick talking about this whole aspect of a lot of times the races, maybe the racing itself isn't that great, although the racing was good at Indy this year. Just the whole event and atmosphere is what makes this just so captivating for race fans everywhere.
Yeah, it was a great race. I mean, other things that came up other than Alonso was Helio. Helio, I thought he was going to join the 4-win club there for a while.
Yeah.
He was right there.
And that's after, that driving under Scott Dixon in that accident.
That one picture that's posted is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think 3 of his 4 tires are up in the air, too. So there's 2 Indy cars and only 1 tire is touching the ground.
Yeah, and he did a little bit of damage to some of his bodywork as well. So the Penske crew had to come up with some work to do a little bit of repair jobs to some of the bodywork on Elio's car.
It really shows you that race, you need to just be there at the end.
Yeah,
but it's really, that race is always won at the end in the last segment, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think you just got to be there. And, Sato, he was there, but you just never thought, in all of our picks, everybody that picked.
Didn't even think about him. In fact, I tell you what, I was actually questioning why Andretti put him in the car. Obviously, one of the reasons is he brought him some sponsorship money, to get into the car, to get into this race. But I was kind of questioning Andretti's decision. Why did you bring Sato into this event? But boy, it turned everybody's ideas around as to how effective he was to win that race.
Yeah, unbelievable. And getting back to the milk, you actually get a $10,000 bonus from the American Dairy Association. So when you win, no wonder they're so happy to drink that milk. And Sato's pouring it all on his head. That's $10,000. That's some good milk.
Absolutely.
And you can also request before the race what kind of milk you want.
What, non-fat, 2%?
Yeah.
Really?
So Sato went with the 2%. There you go. See,
it's funny. My wife was commenting that. She says, that looks like non-fat.
See, I did the research on this. And so we're talking Indy 500, but now it's time to talk some more dirt track racing. But who knows? He could be a future Indy 500 winner. Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest of the night, 2016 USAC West Coast Sprint Car Champion. He's the 2015 Western World 360 Champion, 2012 Most Improved Driver, currently sits second in points. BR Performance USAC CRA Sprint Car Driver. Ladies and gentlemen, out of Garden Grove, California, Brody Roa. What is up, Brody?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Good, man.
Was that a good enough intro for you? Because you deserve it.
That was perfect.
Pumping up those numbers.
It.
Pumping up those numbers for you, Brody.
Hey, you got JR Ibarra in here as well. You remember him from kart racing and dirt track racing days. And Brody, second in points, a great Saturday night for you, finishing second behind the Demon. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a good night for sure. we started off okay, qualified 5th, ran 3rd in our heat race, and then that put us on the front row for the feature, and led the first, 9 or 10 laps, and it was feeling good. It was kind of, Paris has been around the bottom a lot lately, so we ran the first 10 laps around the bottom. Damien finally got around us on the top and got up there and kind of ran pace with him for a while, just couldn't do anything. And last restart, I think we might have had something, but, that guy's just good. So we're working on our program, and we're getting closer and closer every week. So, one of these races, we're going to get there and we're going to beat them. So we just keep on trucking.
Hey, Brody, I know a big part of your success is your dad and having him wrench on the race car. Talk about his influence. Obviously, he's a past driver himself. In fact, just to show you how old I am, I remember watching your dad race at Ascot way back in the day before you were born, probably. And I know he's a big part of getting that car tuned up and ready to rumble every weekend for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my dad's, I couldn't do it without him for sure. He's the reason I did, and he's the reason why I started. So, my dad's been around forever. He went and helped with my, his cousin Tom Jr. and his uncle Tom Sr. They ran a sprint car, from I believe the early '60s until, and then my dad raced in the mid '80s. That's before I was born. I was born even after Ascot had closed down. So, my dad did it for, he did it for a long time, and then after he quit racing, he was a crew chief for Mike Kirby and Rip Williams. A few of the greats of the sport. They won a lot of races, and I traveled around with them. And he's rubbed off on me a lot, I think. And I take all of his input. He may get a little frustrated with me sometimes because I'm a little stubborn at times, so I tend to disagree at points, but then I think about it later, I'm like, he was probably right. I probably shouldn't have been such a, been such a little butt about that. But, he's taught me a lot over the years. I definitely wouldn't be where I am without him.
Of course, talking about the great Brett Roa and that father-son racing team. I mean, you guys can probably scream at each other and then go home, pull through the drive-thru, get some in and out, animal style, and be just perfect the next day and ready to go the next race. Correct?
That's right. We generally don't go to In and Out, but
there are 5 guys.
Yeah, that's it. We crack a beer after the race, and we calm down, and sometimes I'm a little worked up, so we settle down, and Sunday's wash day, so we go over and talk about the race, and figure out what we did wrong, and work to be better next week.
Now, speaking of next week, you got a busy weekend coming up, headed to the Midwest for some racing. Tell us about that. That's pretty exciting to see that you're going to venture out and really have an opportunity to run with some of the USAC national guys.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. We're going to I-80 Speedway in Nebraska on Friday night and Knoxville on Saturday.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited about Knoxville. That's been a place I've never even been there, even as a spectator, so I'm excited to get there, and that goes back to not being able to do it without my dad. Him and especially my good buddy Zach. He's been traveling with us for a few years. Without the two of them, I wouldn't be able to go on this trip because they're taking off with the trailer tomorrow night. We're down here at the shop right now, actually loading up, and they take off tomorrow night and head out there. And I'm lucky enough I get to fly out on Thursday, so I'm like a little spoiled kid right now.
So what are you expecting out of the weekend? I know you're facing some tracks and maybe some drivers you never had the chance to race against before. Obviously, the way they do Midwest racing, tracks tend to be a little bit more drier, a little bit more slicker compared to the West Coast here. What are you expecting from yourself for the weekend?
I just I'd like to see where we stack up. We're going to go back to Indiana Sprint Week as well in July. Go back to run those 7 races in 9 nights, and it's like a little tune-up for that. See where we stack up and see what we need to work on. And those tracks that we're going to this week, they do. Been watching a lot of videos of I-80 and Knoxville, and just seeing what the tracks do. They blow off slick pretty quick. So,
Yeah,
it's going to be different than out here for sure.
Should be a great experience, and we'll be rooting you on. Any TV coverage or anywhere we can catch you on that? Maybe a delayed MAV TV coverage or something like that to cover that race?
Yeah, there are USAC shows, so loudpedal.tv. They'll be, they do the coverage. They have it up next day. They generally will have it up late that night after the race, if they're on it pretty good. But if not, it'll be on following day in mid-afternoon.
That's right. It's your second time on the show. You came on during the first season of Kaotic Motorsports, so these fans want to follow your career. Obviously, you were groomed to go to the dirt. Tell us a little bit about the start, kart racing career.
Yeah, I started in go-karts when I was 13. I actually did quarter midgets when I was 6, I believe, for a couple months, but I hated that. Just wanted to go ride my motorcycle out in the desert. So we didn't go racing for a while and just traveled with my dad and Kirby. And then when I was 13, my parents got me and my sister actually a go-karting school out of Adams, and I really liked it. So we got a go-kart and we went racing. We did that for 4 years before we went Ford Focus midget racing, and did that for 2, and then jumped into a sprint car. But go-kart racing, we won, I believe, 4 championships in the 4 years we did it. So it started off good.
So how do you think that really prepped you to get into the open wheel ranks, Brody? Did that act as a really strong foundation for you?
Oh yeah, I think it was just learning racecraft and car control. I mean, go-karts are definitely different than sprint cars and midgets, but I think it taught me more of the racecraft of things. Setting up a pass and
right.
On a road course, you're setting up a pass for a half a lap at times. So, you're really trying to dial in what you're going to do and plan ahead and look ahead at what's going on, especially, back in the day, not back in the day, but, 10 years ago when I was doing it.
You're not that old. Come on now.
Look at this youngster.
Yeah.
Look at this youngster telling us back in the day.
Yeah. Back in my day, I guess I can have a day.
Back in the day, if I was going to interview you, I had to use the string and 2 cans, right?
Right. No, I wouldn't be talking on my cell phone in the shop right now, huh?
Exactly. Hey, how about a favorite all-time driver? Do you have a favorite track you've ever raced at, whether it be karting, dirt track, or give us both?
I think I'd have to say, if I'm not biased here, my dad would be my all-time favorite driver. But my all-time favorite driver that I've seen race would definitely be Kirby, just because I traveled around with him so long. I learned from his driving style just watching. And, favorite racetrack, that's a good one. Probably be Yuma. That's my only 410 win.
There we go.
Or Calistoga. Calistoga is really cool up north.
There we go.
Big track.
How about a track that you definitely want to win on in the future besides Knoxville? Maybe Indy?
Anywhere in Indy would be great.
Right.
In California, I'd like to win at Paris.
Sure.
It's probably the biggest track to win at in
that's
California.
going to happen. That's going to happen this year.
That's
I think,
a
JR.
given. That will happen. I don't think there's any question about that, Brody. There'll be a time.
Well, I hope so.
You'll be top of the podium at that racetrack anytime soon, I'm sure.
I hope so.
I'm just curious, now that you're venturing to do some national races, is it your goal to maybe wind up full-time on the national tour one of these years?
If a door ever opened to do that, that would be awesome. I wouldn't, I'm at a point, I have for a while where, if any door opened, I wouldn't say no. So, if it's possible to go racing, in any series, any car, I'd love to. So, we wouldn't run our car full-time national series.
Sure.
It's just,
Okay. I've asked all my guests this year, and including PJ Jones, they've all said yes. I've been announcing.
Hey, funny thing about that, I'm sitting next to PJ's Mustang right now.
Oh man!
Look at this guy.
We should have had you in
He's
the
hanging out.
studio.
He's hanging out with the right people, man.
We should have had you in the
Hey,
studio.
we're
so
stuck
we
in
go
some
for a
studio
ride,
here.
man. Unbelievable.
Should have done the show from Brody Shop, man.
We got to do
There
some.
we go.
We got to do some mobile shows.
There
Don't
you
we?
go.
We got to get
Absolutely.
Hey, anyways,
There
would
it
you, would you drive a monster truck? I've been announcing for the Traxxas Monster Truck Destruction Tour. I'll be in Canton, Ohio this weekend. Cheap plug. It's my show. I can do
You
this.
can do anything you want.
And I'll be up at the Humboldt County Fair next weekend. But monster trucks, man, would you get in one of those bad boys and crush
There we
some
go.
cars?
I got a seat and a gear bag that'll go anywhere.
I am driver. Just hire me. I'll do it. So
That's
every driver I've asked has said yes to driving a monster truck. So I think that's cool.
I don't know if I could pull off the backflip, but I'd go cruise around for a while.
Well, there we go, man. I'll sign you up. When you're not racing, what do you like to do to chill? You know, just to maybe get your mind off of it, get everything straight.
Yeah, you know, right now I'm pretty busy at work. I got a new position at work, so that and coming down to the shop take up a lot of my time. But other than that, I'd like to, you know, me and my wife we go out to the river. You know, we try to get out there at least a couple times a year. Her mom has a house out there, so we go out and get away from things, and you know, go on. You know, we don't do it very often, but little trips here and there, and spend some time together, and you know, hang out with some friends. And you know, a lot of our friends are racing friends, so we never really get away from racing. But we're not at the track every day, so just relaxing most of the time. You know, if we're not racing, I'd like to, you know, sit on the couch and hang out with some good friends.
Now I know you mentioned about you know the opportunity if it ever came up to do the USAC National Tour, that'd be an ideal situation for you. Is there any other form of race that you maybe would like to try down the road?
Yeah, you know, it goes back to that. I wouldn't say no to anything. If open wheel, you know, road car came out, F2000 car, or, you know, something like that, or a stock car, that, you know, I don't have plans or to go to anything else, but you know, sprint cars are just the coolest thing I think to drive. So if I just ran sprint cars forever, that would be, you know, I wouldn't complain.
And that's
But
yeah, that's the sentiment from any sprint car driver that I've talked to.
yeah, I would like to run a wing car. You know, it's kind of, you know, non-wing guy saying he'd like to run a wing car, but you know, just for the experience, I'd like to do that a couple times and you know, step in that. It kind of seems like where everything's going right now,
Right.
in California especially. So that would be a form of racing I'd like to do.
You know, that brings up a little bit of a debate because here in Southern California, you know, it's primarily a non-winged territory, if you will. We don't see wing cars except for once a year when the Outlaws come into town at Paris. You know, it just seems like a lot of people here in Southern California are very much glued to the aspect of non-wing cars. Yet you venture up to Central and Northern California, there's plenty of winged sprint car racing up there. The big debate is, would it be a great thing to see more winged racing here in Southern California?
I think it'd just be a great thing to see more racing in general in Southern California.
Right.
Right on.
You know, even the non-wing stuff, you know, it depends on what you classify Southern California. You know, we only run once a week at Paris, or once a month at Paris, and you know, we go once a year to Ventura and Bakersfield. And other than that, we're heading up north or over to Arizona. So, you know, any form of racing here in Southern California would be great. So, you know, there's just too much to do here, I think. So,
Yeah,
you know, if we can get fans, and you know, one new fan brings out, you know, two of their buddies to every week, you know, that'd be great. So,
Brody,
just need to build it back up.
when you mention Arizona, Chappie back here asking you the question as we switch back and forth on you, keeping you on your toes. Does the Havasu track up there, is that asphalt or dirt up there? And do you guys, is there anything in the future where you guys might be able to race there, or you just go to Yuma?
That's a pavement track there in Havasu, I believe.
That's what I thought at Havasu. My dad lives up there, and I know they have a popular racing program, but I wasn't sure if there was a dirt track there or not.
Well, I know here's some things I'm sure you're aware of, Brody. In Tucson now, Ron Schumann is taking over that racetrack.
There we go.
You know, Ron Schumann, the former great open wheel driver himself, he and his wife are now venturing into running and operating their own dirt track there in Arizona. It is primarily a winged, sprint car territory down there. But it'd be great to see the USAC CRA guys venture down there maybe sometime in the next year or two.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. There's a lot of great tracks over in Arizona that that are open and would be cool to go over to. We were actually going to go over and run one of Ron's races over at, what's he call it, Wildcat Raceway.
Right.
That he took over. But, we just had so much going on with our program here, getting stuff together at the beginning of the year that we didn't make it. But, it seems like a good deal he's got going on over there, and it'd be cool for USAC to, the USAC CRA 410 series to kind of travel out of state a little bit more and add some more races to the schedule. Back in the 90s, they'd run 45, 46, 48 races a year. Right now we're running 24. So, it's a lot as you're doing it, but it'd be cool to add some races and add some new tracks to the schedule.
Now, is the schedule that way primarily because of the lack of tracks, or is it because obviously the cost involved? I mean, operating an operation where you're racing 410 sprint cars gets a little pricey, I would imagine, in the racing budget.
Yeah, it's definitely, it costs more than it used to, for sure. The shocks have taken off so much, and the engine programs are just almost getting out of control. But I don't know exactly why we don't race as much as we used to. I don't know if it's a promoter thing or a race series deal. I'm not involved in that, so I wouldn't know. But I just know it'd be cool to get some more races on the schedule. And at the beginning of the year, the 410 series, we run once a month for a few months until the second half of the year, and then it really takes off. But it'd be cool to, if available, run some new tracks. Like we go up and run California Sprint Week up north in September. There's a ton of tracks up there. We can run Placerville one night, and it'd be cool just to add some races in.
Absolutely. It would be great to see a lot more races with you guys.
Yeah, at the time right now, how many races do you guys have on the calendar, and how many would you like? What would you like to fit in there?
With the CRA, the 410 stuff, we have 24 points races this year. I think with all these extracurricular races that we're doing, Indiana Sprint Week and this weekend back in the Midwest, I think we have in the high 30s is how many races we're running this year.
Yeah, that's a fair amount of races on the schedule. I can tell you that for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
It'd be great to see a 45 race schedule, but obviously that takes a lot of time, commitment, and money to make that happen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, last year we did. We ran both the 410 and the 360 full time, and between the two schedules and the other stuff that we did, we ran, I believe, 44 races last year.
That's very ambitious. That's very
ambitious. It was a busy year, that's for sure.
We had a great time watching you. Thanks for hooking up Kaotic Motorsports on Saturday night. What a great night of racing. It seemed like a great turnout. The car count probably could have been a little healthier. The fans were rowdy and loud and having a good time. I think everybody had a good time out there on Saturday night at Salute to Indy. That was awesome. They did a good job on their whole presentation of the Salute to Indy.
Yeah, that's a cool race every year. That and the Hall of Fame race in August, those are the two coolest races at Paris every year. And hopefully everybody that came out enjoyed it, and they bring some friends back for the next one.
Good deal. Brody Ron has been our guest, calling in tonight for the second time, a guest on Kaotic Motorsports, called in year number 1, and his career has only flourished. Great USAC CRA sprint car driver, one of the young guns, and only going to get better. Just needs to get around the demon there, and he's going to pull off that first win at the Paris Auto Speedway. He was out there Saturday night. And Brody, I know you want to thank your sponsors and all the people that friends and family that help you make your racing operation possible. So go ahead, it's your time.
Yeah, there's an endless list of people that make this possible. The big one, HD Industries. We wouldn't have a shop, place to keep our car, or power plant under the hood without them. Burris Racing, they're huge. Mike Burris and Kurt Burris, all the whole family over there is just they've almost been family since day one of karting. So
we love those guys.
They're so awesome. Lee and Norma Leonard, couldn't do without them. Biker Bruce Fisher, Driven Racing Oils, my dad Zach, my wife Taylor, my mom, my grandpa and my grandma. We lost her, so we're doing it in her honor here this year. And I wouldn't have got started without them either. My uncle Bernard, my sister, just it's a whole family deal. And there's a lot of stickers on the car. Sander Engineering, they help us out a lot with all the parts we need, wheels, driveline stuff. There's so many names on the car that just couldn't do without all of them.
Brody, is there a website or Facebook page where we can keep up on all your racing efforts, as well as maybe grab some gear? I'm looking online here. I know you got some T-shirts now for sale that represent your race team, and give us some details on that.
Yeah, we got BrodyRoa.com and BR Performance on Facebook, and right now we're actually have a little special going on. I got Braden Wasson over at Fast Time Designs doing a new T-shirt design for this year. We're going to take back to Indiana with us. He's working on it this week. We got a little package deal going on to help support our trips. $40 ship, and it's got a T-shirt, koozie, bumper sticker, not bumper sticker, but a window sticker, and the koozie while they last. And you can order those through our Facebook page and support our trip. And every T-shirt that is sent out is greatly appreciated.
So in some ways, the fans can act as some other additional sponsorship for you guys, as well as come away with some great racing gear too.
Yeah, we use if somebody gives us $20, it doesn't go unnoticed, and it definitely gets put to good use, and just a few bucks here and there helps out a lot.
Absolutely,
that's for sure.
May not believe it, but a 20 or a 10 or anything, it goes a long ways. It gets the truck down the road.
That's right. Great job. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're working hard in the shop, getting ready for Knoxville. We'll be watching you and rooting you on here in Kaotic Nation. And not that you need it, but you now have the chaotic karma. Brody Roa, everybody. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Good
Safe
luck.
travels, buddy.
Yeah, you can call in anytime and give us an update on how the racing career is going, my friend.
All right. Will do. Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Brody Roa, great interview. Second time on the show, JR.
It's awesome to see, this youngster coming up through the ranks here, second in points in USAC CRA right now, which is really very impressive when you see the type of talent he's racing up against, even though he's yet to win a race for this season here in the 410s. It's great to see that he is battling right there with Damian Gardner, who's really quite a stout racer himself.
The Demon, a big name, and kind of probably the heavy favorite going in Saturday night. He lived up to those odds, and but Roa's got to be happy with that second place finish. So great for Brody coming on the show. Love talking to these drivers each and every week. It's awesome. Great job, by the way, last week with gosh darn it. I got him right
Jared
here.
Kramer.
There he is, Jared Kramer.
Yeah.
Did great out there. He got a lot of mic time from our buddy Scott Delasio, and it was great to see him race. We knew a lot of guys out there. We had Cody Nye finishing fourth in the Lightning sprints, and we're gonna get more of those dirt sprints on here on the show.
Yeah,
I know you got a few lined up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of great things happening with dirt racing. I mean, we talked with John Aiden earlier tonight. John's
cool with John
crew. And I've actually have raced with some of his. With his series there in the Speedway Sprint division, and there's some great racing there, as well as with the California Lightning Sprints, the sprint cars with the USAC CRA division,
and the juniors and the seniors. Very popular and a great turnout down there at a local racetrack. Great to see local Saturday night racing on a Memorial Day weekend. The Salute to Indy at the Pass. Real quick before we go, the first 4-stage NASCAR Race of the Year Monster Energy Cup. The winner was, and the first one ever, the number 3,
Austin
Richard
Dillon.
Childress. Yes, he is back in the winner's circle. And that one came out of the blue.
It
and
did.
not one of our picks had him included
I had,
in that. So.
Isn't it interesting? I don't know if you heard, but he was 100-1 pick in Vegas, man. If you picked Austin Dillon, you took home some money.
You know some lady from Alabama or somewhere was
Oh,
at Vegas.
man.
She's over there at Caesars, and she goes, I love that number 3.
Yep.
She probably thought Earnhardt still drove it, didn't even know, and just
Yep.
goes, give me $100,000, my life savings
Yep.
on that number 3.
Yep.
So,
got her house paid off.
So, anyways, great job. Next, they'll go to Dover this Sunday. NHRA will be back in action. They will be at New England on the far east coast. So we'll get some more nitro.
Locally, Orange Show Speedway runs this Saturday night as well.
There we go. Make sure you check out Orange Show. I've announced there as well, and it's some great racing. And Orange Show runs a great program throughout the year. Anything else? Final thoughts here?
No, once again, we're just grateful that we had a safe race weekend over a very huge Memorial Day race festivities with F1, IndyCar, and NASCAR, and all the local stuff that took place. So great that everybody had a great time, a safe time as well, and we just hope and pray for the same this coming weekend.
First time this weekend, I'll be in the great state of Ohio. I'm going to the NFL Hall of Fame because when you're in Canton, Ohio, that's what you
got to do.
So apparently it's the only thing to do besides monster trucks. So we'll be out there with the Traxxas Monster Truck Destruction Tour. Make sure you check out J.R. Ibarra at a track near you. I am Chappie, the voice of Traxxas Monster Trucks, Ivy League, flat track, and local karting, and anything else you want to race. This is KaoticRadio.com. Make sure you check out all the great shows on KaoticRadio.com. Kaotic Motorsports every Tuesday night, 6 to 7. You going to be back next week?
I think, unfortunately, this is a busy month for me. It is, I'll let the cat out of the bag. It is my birthday month, so I'll be out doing a little bit of celebrating.
Happy birthday there.
Thank you so much. It also is, and thankfully for my dear wife, I'm coming up on a 25th wedding anniversary in a couple of weeks.
There is a feat right there. That's as good as
It
winning
is,
the Indy
especially,
500
to put up with somebody like me. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, can you believe that?
Hey, Mike, you listening at all? We could use some music right here as we send it out. We can only talk about JR's marriage so long, 25 years. Boy. So we'll get some music here. Mike's hard at work. He's working deals. He's always down there in Huntington Beach with the ladies. And so we're waiting on a little Big Schmo to send us out here. He is hard at work. So a great weekend of racing. It was overall great. I thought it was just some incredible talent. Glad Scott Dixon and Buddy Lazier is okay. That was the other crash. He was okay too. He got rattled.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Buddy Lazier only comes out really once a year to do the Indy 500, and apparently his whole family pours all their funds and finances into that team.
All right. Well, here we go. This is Kaotic Motorsports on KaoticRadio.com. We got a little bit of a late start. We are signing off, and we will see you next Tuesday and each and every Tuesday night. Make sure you listen to all the shows on KaoticRadio.com, YouTube, catch the podcast. And one more time, we'll see you at the racetrack. For J.R. Ibarra, this is Chappie.
Good night, everybody.
My Chevy was a jumping, my music was a bumping up ahead, and my path could have